Welcome to 15 Minutes. In today's show, we'll be discussing adolescent risk-taking. Adolescents are often perceived by the general community as typical risk-takers likely to engage in crime, risky sexual behaviors, self-harm, or even drug abuse. As we all know, adolescence is a very confusing period of life between puberty and adulthood. It's a time where rapid hormonal and psychological development brings changes in our social lives, physical bodies, and even our cognitive programming. The major transformation can make life very challenging, not only for parents, but for the young adults caught between two different worlds. There are a number of players that can drive young adults into taking risky decisions. Biologically, the hormonal activities during adolescence can be very disorienting for early maturing children. They can begin to develop psychological issues like depression, anxieties, eating disorders, and so on. Sex hormones and pleasure-related neurotransmitters like dopamine can also begin to become more prominent. This means that sexual interests increases and participating in the use of drugs and consumption of alcohol can become very appealing. Another component in adolescent risk-taking is the development of their brains. Neuronal connections that are no longer needed after childhood are eliminated, and the remaining ones are strengthened and specialized for specific tasks. These changes cause adolescents to think and perceive their world differently. According to John Piaget, this is called the formal operational stage of thinking, where maturing children begin to engage in abstract and hypothetical thinking, as well as gain the ability to reflect on their own thoughts. Moreover, Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development states that during adolescence, individuals see themselves as unique and integrated persons with an ideology. They begin to form their own self-identity. This soul-searching phase is heavily affected by factors such as ethnic or cultural background, their environment, their relationship with their parents, and the type of influence they receive from their peers. However, due to these influences, their journey of finding their own identity can often become confusing and can impact them negatively. Furthermore, based on Lawrence Goldberg, adolescents are in the conventional reasoning stage of their moral development. This is where pleasing others, gaining their approval, and following rules and social order dominates their approach and way of thinking when tackling different situations, meaning that the relationships and bonds they create during this time will have a significant impact on their lives that can extend way beyond adolescence and into adulthood. Nevertheless, I think we can all agree that adolescence is a very important stage in our lives. We might take a lot more risks than any other individuals, but taking risks is a very normal part of our journey into adulthood. It is very important because we utilize what we learn from our mistakes to manifest our own unique set of values acquired from a mix of cultural practices, familiar traditions, and peer connections. In fact, according to Spear, young adults who practice moderate risk-taking tend to be more socially competent than those who do not take no risk. Now, I believe Yvette has a very interesting case study she would like to present.
Thanks, Fhelipe, for the valuable information on this crucial topic. To further understand adolescent risk-taking, we must see it occur in its purest form. All of the most significant examples of this subject are displayed and explored in the movie entitled Blockers, making this the perfect case study for this topic. In this film, the audience observes the various trials and tribulations that adolescents go through, as a result, causing them to make risky and dangerous decisions. The film follows the story of 3 young women known to be childhood best friends on the night of their senior prom, who have decided to share a sex pact, followed by their parents, who attempt to stop them at every opportunity. The creation of this pact explores the significant rise in hormonal activity that occurs in adolescence. This can be specifically seen through the character Julie, who spends her evening aiming for the perfect night for her and her boyfriend. She showcases Erik Erikson's explanation of adolescent risk-taking by trying to create and search for her own understanding of the world whilst creating her own values. Julie is extremely determined to achieve this goal that she loses sight of all moral reasoning and safety precautions that should have been taken in multiple scenarios. Her judgment, however, was clouded by the significant rise in sexual hormones. Julie only had one priority that night, therefore influencing her to make numerous reckless decisions. Multiple examples of further risk-taking scenarios can be seen through the character of Kayla. She vows herself to this pact, and as a result, finds herself involved with a boy who claims to be a master in underage drinking and substance abuse. During these adolescent years, the brain is still continuing to develop. Jean Piaget explores the fact that adolescents are beginning to perceive the world differently at this age. This explains how the influence of this pact and this boy easily persuades Kayla into taking these substances that can be extremely life-risking and dangerous. The formation of the pact was the most consequential for Sam. From the very beginning, she is faced with Goldberg's conventional reasoning, which enables her to believe that she will only be accepted by her friends and by others by pleasing them. Sam follows the stereotypes set by her friends and society that she must lose her virginity on prom night, despite battling with the uncertainty of her sexuality. She is peer pressured into drinking excessively and getting into bed with a boy despite being aware she does not enjoy it, yet still strives to remain loyal to her friends. Sam is self-convinced that she is behaving as everyone wants her to, although this causes her to belittle the risks that she encounters. It has clearly been shown in this case study the situations and thought processes that cause adolescents to participate in such risk-taking behavior. Joseph will now further explore the implications of this issue.
Thank you, Yvette, for the case study. Implication of risk-taking contains a stigma in the eyes of society, as it can affect the individual's stability, which leads to a cause of harm. This impacts the behavior of adolescents, which may alter their capacity of decision-making, causing a distortion within their thoughts and perception. A long-term consequence of this behavior may negatively affect the individual's relationship with their family. It breaks the boundaries of social norms in the community, disregarding the traditions and universal rule in life, which can only lead to a resolution or consequence. Social factors that influence risk-taking behaviors for young Australians are often bite attributes. This could occur in a source of harassment such as bullying or rebelliousness, where teenagers' interaction decline, resulting to social isolation and low self-esteem. Their sense of belonging and characteristics adaptations changes when they are finding new crowd with similar situation and understanding. However, a majority of adolescents use drugs and alcohol to overcome their situation, disregarding the consequences that could occur. As a consequence, their psychological and developmental growth may be impacted, leading to depression and addiction. In 2007, the Australian Bureau of Statistics shows a total of nearly 3 million people aged 15 to 24 years were actively consuming alcohol, while a small minority of these statistics had experienced a high risk of binge drinking, which can lead to intoxication if behavior not monitored. It is found by the National Hospital Morbidity Database that there was nearly 33,000 people hospitalized in 2005 and 2006. Additionally, genetic aspects may also influence risk-taking behaviors. It was proposed by Sigmund Freud that aggression is a biological instinct that individuals are unconsciously unaware of. Thus, it was released through physical or verbal force. Home environment could also be a contributing factor influencing young adults' well-being and behavior. This affects the interaction and communication between the members of the family, causing a distance relationship which this supports the family system theory. It is evident in the Australian Bureau of Statistics that around 11% of men and 6% of young women experiences violence within less than a year in 2005. This could result to a separation between the family members, such as divorce, which increased by 5.2% in 2017. Individuals of every community have a major influence among societies. Defects in crime may contribute to decline in employment opportunities, education, and health of persons. It has an environmental influence which challenges the social system by doing the illegal act of selling drugs, alcohol, and vandalism, becoming an economically disadvantaged area. This established a tension between the neighboring communities where violence could occur from subgroups, such as gangsters and delinquents. Moreover, it establishes stereotypes and stigmas within the community, which also affects the popularity of the society. Additionally, certain things such as drugs could become part of the social culture and a habit that affects all age groups by admiring those risk takers. The National Drug Strategy Household Survey has identified 23% of people ages 15 to 24 use illicit drugs in 2007. This can lead to a chain reaction where it would affect other neighboring suburbs and influenced by the behavior, which will increase the numbers of risk takers. In the worst case scenario, risk taking can result to death. Research found an average of 1,200 young Australians die each year. And now, we will go to Camille to talk about the intervention and strategies.
Thank you, Joseph and Philip. This is Camille coming from the Australian Catholic Department. This young individual see the world as something to be taken as a whole, as of their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This is why during that period of their life they tend to be more riskier than others, as Philip stated earlier, engaging in crimes, risky and sexual behaviors, self-harm, and drug use. They have their own ideals of how they should live their life as a unique person in the community, most of the time breaking the social norms of the society. There's reasons and implications why this occurred that also have been mentioned by Joseph. 1. Schools can work with parents in monitoring the students' behavior and delivering them with services and assistance they may need to protect their children from negative influences. Schools should create programs that interact and provide students with knowledge about the consequences of drug use, alcohol consumption, and safe sex precautions, as well as lessons on limitations of risk-taking. First, schools can apply contemporary counseling methods by allowing students to volunteer to assist their peers with their studies or any other issues they are experiencing. They can take place of an adult counselor for the students who find it difficult to share intimate problems with a stranger. So having events of safety on schools, just like how we see it in universities like ACU and United States, as of their project Drug Abuse Resistance, alcohol skills training, and life skills training, showed evidence that these types of school-based programs are highly effective. Based on research, programs focusing primarily on sexual risk and protective factors can allow the adolescents to change their behavior with the help of family planning services, marketing, advertising, and promoting services, which also tackles down lessons on alcohol consumption and drug use, can influence and change policing for the better of our young generations. The benefits of these services and what we call pastoral care would be to establish positive relationships and reduce the quantity of extreme risk-taking. Additionally, it provides general guidance of all students, parents, and staff members to minimize adolescents' risk-taking behaviors. However, national surveys indicate that closely monitoring children can sometimes provoke them to rebel against the limitations set by the rules and the parents. That may push them into taking more severe risks. Remember, regulate, don't escalate. Be responsible for risk-taking.
That's all for today, folks.
Please like, subscribe, and share the video. My name is Philip.
And I'm Joseph.
And I'm Camille. Thanks for watching
15 Minutes!